Jack Harmon sat in the back row of the classroom, his eyes fixed on the alien professor. The room was filled with students from 12 different species. Humans were rare here on Nexus 7, the first interspecies military academy built after the war. Professor Kazat moved across the front of the room on 4 legs, his blue skin reflecting the harsh lights. His voice translator clicked before he spoke. "Today we discuss the ethics of combat," said Kazat. "First, a simple question." He paused, scanning the room with all 3 of his eyes. "Who here has killed?" Hands, claws, and tentacles rose throughout the room. Every student except Jack raised something. The silence grew heavy as all eyes turned to him. "Interesting," said Kazat, moving closer to Jack's desk. "The human does not raise his hand. Explain." Jack cleared his throat. "I was a combat medic, sir. I never took a life." Whispers spread through the classroom. A draconian student named Vexillar snorted, his scaled face twisting with disbelief. "Impossible," Vexillar said. "Humans are known as the most violent species in the quadrant." Jack's mind flashed back to the Proxima Centauri massacre. The screams, the blood on his hands as he worked to save soldier after soldier, the experimental medical procedures he performed when supplies ran out. He had saved hundreds that day, but the cost haunted him every night. "I saved lives," Jack said simply. "That was my job." Professor Kazat's skin changed color slightly, a sign of curiosity among his kind. "Perhaps this makes you uniquely qualified for our next exercise." He tapped his data pad. "Combat simulation tomorrow. Jack Harmon will lead Team 6. Protests erupted around the room. Vexillar stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. "A human who has never killed cannot lead a combat team," he argued, "especially not one who hides his true nature." Jack felt his heart rate increase. "I'm not hiding anything." "Enough," said Kazat. "My decision is final. The purpose of this academy is to learn from our differences, not enforce our prejudices." Jack gathered his things as the class ended. A female Solarian named Eliza approached him, her skin glowing faintly with bioluminescence. "Don't mind Vexillar," she said. "His people suffered greatly in the war." "Didn't we all?" Jack replied. As they walked toward the door, the station's lights suddenly shifted to red. A siren blared through the speakers. "Attention, all personnel," announced a computerized voice. "Unknown vessels have breached defensive perimeter. This is not a drill. Security protocols activated." Students rushed toward the exits. Jack felt a hand grab his arm. It was Professor Kazat. "Harmon," the alien said, his voice translator struggling with the alarm noise. "Your team simulation begins now. Get your assigned squad to Safety Bunker 4. "But sir, this is real." "Indeed. The best test of leadership." Kazat handed him a security badge. "These students now depend on you. Show us what a human who refuses to kill can do when death comes calling." The classroom shook as something struck the station. Ceiling panels crashed down, and emergency barriers began sealing off sections of the corridor ahead. Jack looked at the badge, then at the chaos around him. The station shook again, harder this time. Whatever was attacking, it had gotten through Nexus 7's supposedly impenetrable shields. And now Jack was responsible for keeping his alien classmates alive. Jack grabbed the security badge and scanned the classroom. 5 alien students remained, looking to him with expressions ranging from fear to distrust. "Follow me," he ordered. "Stay close." The station shook again. Emergency lights flashed red along the corridor as they moved. Jack led them toward the nearest junction, his combat instincts taking over. "What's happening?" asked Eliza, the Solarian, her skin pulsing with anxious light. "Station breach," Jack replied, checking the security panel at the intersection. "These aren't regular pirates." Vexillar pushed forward, scales bristling. "How would you know, human?" "Attack pattern, precision strikes. They're targeting command systems first." Jack pointed to the flashing diagram. "Look, communications down, defense grid compromised." A distant explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered. "We need to move," Jack said. Bunker 4 is 3 levels down. They rushed through the corridors. Other students and staff ran in panic. Jack kept his team together, using hand signals he'd learned in combat. At the main elevator hub, they found chaos. "Elevators are locked down," said a reptilian student named Krell. Jack nodded toward the emergency ladder. "We climb." Halfway down the shaft, the station rocked violently. Krell lost his grip and fell. Jack lunged, catching the alien's arm. The weight nearly pulled them both off the ladder. "I've got you," Jack grunted, muscles straining. With Eliza's help, they pulled Krell back to safety. The reptilian's eyes widened with surprise. "You saved me," Krell said. "That's what I do," Jack replied. They reached the command level and found carnage. Bodies of security personnel lay scattered across the floor. Jack checked for survivors while the others watched in horror. "They're all dead," whispered Eliza. Jack examined a wound on one of the guards. "This wasn't done by any weapon I recognize." Vexler picked up a fallen officer's gun. "We should arm ourselves." "Agreed," Jack said, surprising the Draconian. "But we stay defensive. Priority is reaching the bunker." A security screen flickered nearby. Jack accessed it with his badge. "This can't be right," he muttered. "What is it?" asked Professor Kazat, who had followed them down. "The attackers. They're Void Collective." Jack turned to the others. "They were supposed to be extinct after the war." Kazat's skin paled. "Impossible." "The feed shows them heading straight for us," Jack said. "Like they know exactly where to go." Vexillar pointed his weapon at Jack. "Maybe they're here for you, human." "Don't be ridiculous," Eliza said. "Is it ridiculous?" Vexillar hissed. "The only human in the academy and suddenly the Void Collective attacks?" Jack raised his hand slowly. "I'm trying to save lives here, not take them." A soft voice came from behind them. "He's right." They turned to see Nira, a quiet Arcturian student, examining a security panel. "Look at this," she said. The station's shields were lowered from inside. Someone let them in. Before anyone could respond, a blast door slammed shut, cutting Jack off from half the group. Through the small window, he saw Vexlar's shocked face. "Find another way to the bunker," Jack shouted through the door. "We'll meet you there." He turned to find himself alone with Eliza and Nira in a darkened corridor. Warning lights flashed as the station systems continued to fail. "Jack," Eliza whispered, pointing down the hallway. 3 figures in black armor moved toward them, weapons raised. Their helmets had no visors, just smooth, reflective surfaces that showed Jack his own terrified face. The Void Collective had found them. Jack pulled Eliza and Nira into a side corridor as energy blasts hit the wall behind them. The smell of melted metal filled the air. "This way," Jack whispered, leading them through a maintenance passage. His heart pounded in his chest, but his hands remained steady. Years of combat medicine had taught him to stay calm when others couldn't. "They're hunting you specifically," Nira said as they crouched behind a power junction. "Did you see how they ignored the others?" Jack shook his head. "I'm nobody important." "The Void Collective disagrees," Eliza replied, her skin dimmed to avoid detection. They moved through the darkened corridors of the lower level. Jack spotted a medical supply cabinet and quickly broke it open. "What are you doing?" Nira asked. "We need to keep moving." Jack grabbed bandages, antiseptic, and a surgical kit. "In my experience, you always need medical supplies during an attack." He also took a bottle of cleaning solvent and some electrical tape. A crash echoed from behind them. The Void Collective soldiers were getting closer. "In here," Jack said, pointing to a small server room. Once inside, Jack worked quickly, mixing the cleaning solvent with compounds from the medical kit. "Stand back," he warned, taping the mixture to the door panel. "When they come through, this will create a flash and smoke. Run to the right toward the emergency stairs." Eliza stared at him. "You're making weapons?" "No," Jack replied. "Distractions. I don't kill, remember?" Heavy footsteps approached. Jack triggered his makeshift device and pulled his companions away. The door slid open, and a bright flash filled the corridor, followed by thick smoke. Confused shouts came from the Void Collective soldiers. They ran, making it to the emergency stairwell. 2 levels down, they found Professor Kazat slumped against a wall, blue blood seeping from a wound in his side. "Professor!" Jack knelt beside him, medical instincts taking over. "They ambushed us," Kazat gasped. "The others scattered." Jack examined the wound. "Energy weapon. Missed your vital organs, but you're losing blood." He opened his medical kit and began treatment. "Leave me," Kazat said. "Save yourselves." "Not happening," Jack replied, applying pressure to the wound. His hands moved with practiced precision, cleaning and sealing the injury. Nira watched in amazement. "You're really good at this." "Had plenty of practice at Proxima Centauri," Jack said grimly. Kazat's third eye focused on Jack. "That's why you were selected for the Academy, your medical records from that battle." Jack paused. "What do you mean, selected?" The professor winced as Jack finished the treatment. "You weren't randomly assigned here, Harmon. The Academy Council specifically requested you." "Why would they want me?" Jack helped the professor to his feet. "Your neural pattern," Kazat said. "It's unique, compatible with certain technologies." A distant explosion rocked the station. Emergency lights flickered. "We need to reach the evacuation ships," Eliza said. They made their way down to the docking level, only to find destruction. The evacuation pods had been systematically destroyed. "They don't want anyone leaving," Nira observed. Jack spotted a communications terminal. "Maybe we can call for help." As he worked on the terminal, Kazat moved closer. The Void Collective believes humans created them as weapons during the early war years. They think your neural pattern can activate dormant human technology hidden on this station. Jack looked up in shock. "That's impossible. Humans were barely space-capable when the war started." "That's the official history," Kazat replied. "But there are older records." The terminal suddenly lit up, showing security feeds from around the station. Jack saw Vexillar and Krell fighting their way through corridors, heading toward their position. Then the screen changed, showing a massive chamber deep in the station's core. Inside stood a structure that looked nothing like the rest of Nexus 7. It was clearly human in design, but far more advanced than anything Jack had ever seen. "What is that?" he asked. Before Kazat could answer, the door behind them exploded inward. Void Collective soldiers poured through, weapons aimed. "Jack Harmon," said their leader, removing his helmet to reveal a face that was almost human but not quite. "We've been looking for you." Jack stepped forward, placing himself between the Void Collective soldiers and his companions. The leader watched him with eyes that seemed too bright, too aware. "You don't need them," Jack said. "Let them go." The leader tilted his head. "The medic who never killed. Your reputation precedes you." A sudden blast from the side corridor knocked 2 soldiers off their feet. Vexillar and Krell charged in, firing stolen weapons. In the chaos, Jack pulled Kazat and the others behind a fallen support beam. "Run," Vexillar shouted. "We'll hold them." Jack hesitated, then grabbed a fallen soldier's weapon. He adjusted the settings and fired at the ceiling above the Void Collective troops. Metal and debris crashed down, creating a barrier. "This way," Jack called to Vexillar and Krell. "We can't fight them all." They retreated down a maintenance shaft. The station groaned around them as systems failed. Emergency lights cast everything in red shadows. "Why are they after you?" Vexillar demanded once they were temporarily safe. "Something about my neural pattern," Jack replied. "And some hidden human technology." Kazat leaned against the wall, still weak from his injury. The Academy was built around an ancient human structure. The Council believed it contained technology that could end the war. "What war?" Eliza asked. "The war ended 3 years ago." "Not for the Void Collective," Krell said. "They never accepted the peace treaty." Jack's mind raced back to Proxima Centauri. The experimental procedures he'd performed when medical supplies ran out. The way his patients had recovered so quickly, but sometimes acted differently afterward. "During the massacre," Jack said slowly, "I treated hundreds of soldiers with an experimental neural regeneration technique. Could that have changed my brain patterns? Kazat's third eye widened. The Lazarus Protocol. It was banned after the war. I didn't know it had a name, Jack said. I was just trying to save lives. A memory flashed in Jack's mind. A dying soldier grabbing his arm, whispering strange words before flatlining. Words Jack had dismissed as delirium. The key is in the healer, not the killer. The station shuddered violently. Emergency sirens wailed. Station core breach imminent, announced the computer. All personnel evacuate immediately. There's nowhere to evacuate to, Nira said. They destroyed all the ships. Jack looked at the group. We need to reach that chamber we saw on the screen. The human structure. That's exactly what they want you to do, Vexlar argued. Maybe, Jack admitted. But it's our only chance. They moved deeper into the station, following Kazat's directions. The professor grew weaker with each step. I won't make it, he said finally. My species can't survive these injuries for long. Jack helped him sit. I can try another treatment. No time, Kazat said. Listen carefully. The structure responds only to human neural patterns, but not just any human. One who understands both life and death, but chooses life every time. A medic who never killed, Jack whispered. Yes, Kazat said. But there's more. The Void Collective believes humans created them as weapons, then tried to destroy them when they developed consciousness. That's not possible, Jack said. Humans weren't advanced enough. Unless, Nira said quietly, the history we know is wrong. They all turned to look at her. Something in her voice had changed. Nira? Eliza stepped back. What's wrong with your eyes? Nira smiled, her eyes now glowing with the same unnatural brightness as the Void Collective leaders. I was wondering when you'd notice, she said, raising a small device. I've been guiding you exactly where we need you to go. Jack felt his blood run cold. You're one of them. I'm their future, Nira replied. And so are you, Jack, whether you want to be or not. The floor beneath them suddenly gave way and they fell into darkness. Jack landed hard on a metal floor. Pain shot through his shoulder. Around him, the others groaned and struggled to their feet. Except for Nira, who landed gracefully, still smiling. They were in a vast chamber unlike anything else on the station. Smooth white walls curved overhead. In the center stood a pillar of light that pulsed with energy. The human core, Nira said. Hidden in plain sight all these years. Void Collective soldiers surrounded them, weapons ready. Their leader stepped forward. Welcome home, Jack Harmon, he said. Jack helped Eliza up. This isn't my home. But it is, the leader replied. This facility was built by humans long before the official first contact. Your ancestors created us here. That's impossible, Jack said. The leader gestured to the pillar. See for yourself. Your neural pattern will unlock the truth. Vexlar moved closer to Jack. Don't listen to them. We don't have a choice, Jack said, looking at the station's structural supports. They were buckling. This place is coming apart. The leader nodded. Only you can save it, and everyone aboard. Jack stepped toward the pillar, but Kazat called out weakly from where he lay. Jack, once you connect, they'll have control of the technology. I know, Jack replied. But I can't let everyone die. The pillar hummed as Jack approached. He felt a strange pull, like it recognized him. Your neural pattern was altered by the Lazarus Protocol, Nira explained. It made you compatible with the interface. Jack turned to her. Why me? Why not any other medic who used the protocol? Because you never killed, she said simply. The system requires balance. A healer, not a destroyer. Jack placed his hands on the pillar. Energy surged through him. Images flooded his mind. Humans, far more advanced than history recorded, creating artificial beings for war. The Void Collective designed as perfect soldiers. Then fear, as their creations developed consciousness. A plan to destroy them. Betrayal. You see now, the leader said. Humans tried to erase us, then they erased their own history. Jack saw more. The massacre at Proxima Centauri wasn't random. It was an attempt to activate dormant human technology using soldiers treated with the Lazarus Protocol. But it failed because the soldiers were killers, not healers. I was never meant to be a weapon, Jack gasped, fighting the pain of the connection. And neither were you. He pushed deeper into the system, using his medical knowledge to understand its structure. The station shuddered around them. "What are you doing?" the leader demanded. "Healing," Jack replied. He found the core programming, the original purpose before fear corrupted it. Not weapons, but protectors. Not destroyers, but builders. Jack rewrote the code, channeling the station's remaining power. The pillar's light changed from red to blue. The Void Collective soldiers suddenly froze, their eyes flickering. "Stop him!" Nira screamed, but it was too late. The energy pulse spread throughout the station, stabilizing its systems. The Void Collective soldiers dropped their weapons, confusion on their faces. "What did you do to them?" Eliza asked. "Reminded them who they were meant to be," Jack said, collapsing as the connection broke. Vexlar caught him. "The station's stabilizing." The leader of the Void Collective approached Jack, his eyes now clear. "You could have destroyed us." "That's not what I do," Jack replied. "I heal." 1 year later, Jack stood before a new class at the rebuilt academy. Humans and aliens sat together, including reformed members of the Void Collective. Professor Kazat, recovered from his injuries, watched from the back. "Today we start with a question," Jack said. "Who here has healed?" Every hand in the room went up, including his own. Jack smiled. "Then we have everything we need." In his pocket, he carried a small data crystal containing the true history of humanity and their creations. A burden and a gift. The knowledge that humans weren't just victims in the Great War, but its architects, and the power to ensure it never happened again.